Good afternoon, everyone. It's just so nice. We had to play it twice once again. Wake you on up if you're getting up, because depending on where you are in the world. Good afternoon, good morning, grand rising. It's Monday, people. So you know what time it is. It's time for your favorite accountability podcast, Dream Do Done, with Serena Brown Travis, the pulpit chick who was doing pulpit chick duties. So she is not able to join us today, but so exciting. She was able to take care of family nuptials. I can't wait to hear all the stories, and the how-to coach, Tamara Hartley, and myself, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant, the chief faithpreneur. So thank you all for being here and being a part of the show. Hey, Myron Pemberton, good to see you, my friend. Miss you too. Hope all is well. So, Tamara, it's July 19th. OMG. Like, where in the world is 2021 going? Like,
Yes,
the month of the
I was
year.
saying the other day, like it's summer. I'm like, it's summer. Summer is about to be over. if you blink two more times, summer's going to be over too.
Exactly. Like, what is happening? But we're here. We always find ourselves cautioning folk post these 16 months that we have been witnessing. Just be mindful. COVID is not gone. I know that the world is opening up, our country is opening up, states are opening up, and people are moving about. But the news is just not reporting the amount of people that are still dying from this virus, the amount of people who are still in hospitals that are fighting through recovery, and even with the vaccination, contracting COVID. Our whole family, on my prayer call that I do this weekend, we had to pray for a whole family who everybody was vaccinated and still contracted COVID. So they're fighting their way through. So I just say that not to scare you, but just to remind you to be mindful and use wisdom with how you move about, wearing your mask, socially distancing, and washing your hands. You know how I feel about the washing your hands, Tamara. Like, I hope that you didn't learn how to wash your hands because of COVID.
No, but you know what? You are absolutely right. And I was reading, with a lot of people going back to work and going back into their office and things like that, starting to have in person meetings, that, the new strains that are popping up, you really do have to be careful. So a lot of times they're still encouraging you, if you have that virtual business going on, keep it up, ramp it
Absolutely.
up, because you do not know. So if you have the luxury of not being able to have to go outside of your personal space to work and do business, you are still encouraged to do so at this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with that being said, it's also a time to reflect on how we take care of ourselves, because ultimately that's what we're talking about. For those of you that watch the show and you are business owners, if you are, building enterprises, you understand that you can't build much if you laid up in a hospital bed, right? And if you don't have sick leave, then it is just like, okay, what are you going to do? So you need to take care of yourself. And that's what COVID has shown us, that we go ahead and make sure that we are boosting our immune system. We're doing what we can with physical exercise. We're drinking enough water. We're taking our vitamins. And now, believe it or not, Tamara, self-care is a thing. Like, people are actually looking at, and oh, wait, let me go back to this particular article that's talking about self-care being a trend in 2021, that over 250% increase in self-care related searches have happened on Google, right? So that means that men and women, all ages and ranges, believe that self-care is an important part of making a healthier lifestyle choice. And many of them believe that these self-care practices have an impact on their overall well-being. Duh, that makes
Yeah.
sense, right? Because of
Yeah.
everything that we've seen.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, people are really looking for self-care just to kind of stay sane during these times when we can't go most places and do the things we're used to doing. It's like, people that's probably why so many people are out and about right now because it was kind of stir crazy being in the house for so long. But you do still have to practice that self-care because again, like you said, if you are not right, you can't take care of all the things and all the people, we're wives, we're mothers. You can't do all the things you need to do for your business or wherever you're doing if you're not well. And so people have to get creative now about how they do this self-care. But it's more because of the mental health things, issues and
Mhm.
things and challenges that have been going on, not just because of COVID, because of so many things happening in the world. Mental health is so important right now. So in promoting mental health and taking care of yourself and better care of yourself, people are really jumping into the self-care movement and making sure they carve out that time for themselves. So I totally get it. I used to have a problem with self-care. We talked about that plenty of times on the show. And when
Yeah.
you have children, it's so funny that you do everything to make sure they have their up-to-date physicals, their up-to-date shots. You make sure they're on point. But when it comes to yourself, a lot of the times those things kind of go by the wayside, not because you're like, okay, I'm not doing any of this stuff for myself. It's like you can't find the time, you can't find the energy. When you have time and energy, what do you want to do? Now, sleep is okay because that's what you want to do. You want to take a nap, you want to get caught up on your rest, but we have to also get caught up on our wellness.
Absolutely. And sleep is a form of self-care, getting
It
the
is.
proper amount of sleep. So let's be clear. That is the
That
team
is
no
true.
sleep. Yeah, team low sleep don't work. It's not sustainable. So getting sleep is a part of it. And thank you, Myron. He is too much. Myron, I've been working out, drinking my water, working on making sure that the latter days are the better days. But yeah, I love how this article speaks on the medical practices that some people are going back to the good old stuff growing out of the ground that some of our grandparents used to use. Coming from the islands, there's always some sort of branch that you can break off a tree, some leaf that you can boil, something that comes from the earth that helps you sustain yourself. And then they're talking about all the different ways that you can really put self-care as a priority. But what is also intriguing to me, look at this. Self-care products will drive consumer sales in 2021. So in 2014, the self-care industry had an estimated value of 10 billion. Now, as we leave 2020, it is boomed to 450 billion. That
Wow.
is crazy. That's astronomical growth. As
That
overall trends in
is.
health and wellness continue to expand, the topic of self care is everywhere. In fact, nearly 9 out of 10 Americans, 88%, actively practice self care, and one-third of consumers have increased their self care behavior during this past year because of
Yeah.
COVID. You go from 10 billion to 450
That
billion dollars?
Now, look, for those of our wannabe-preneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs who are thinking of ideas and thinking of, what the market is demanding, this can be an opportunity for some people. If that's your line of business, or if you're looking to get into that line of business, that's a trend to watch because that might be a viable market for you to enter and to have your business in that industry.
Absolutely. Or even service providers, if you're not of the entrepreneurial strain and you want to work somewhere, looking at places that are expanding and growing, this could also be workforce opportunity for those of you who want to go that far. Because 44% of millennials practice self care, 57% of baby boomers, and 64% of the swing generation practice self care. Well, where's our generation? I don't think I'm in none of those. Like, what the what? But,
Look, we're the ones struggling with self-care. We're trying to make the time for self-care. Our priorities are a little bit different. We weren't taught self-care, so we're still learning.
oh my goodness, for real. And I mean, this is just something definitely for further inquiry and investigation for everyone listening. Whether you're someone who's not in business, you just want to take better care of yourself, seeing what options are there. If you are in business, just like Tamara said, hello, where can you add some expansion to your bottom line? And if you are in the workforce, there's some opportunities, right? People are expanding out to hire more people, to service more people. So this is talking about also the self-care trend important to retailers. So what do retailers understand how it works and what it means for consumer shopping? So if you are someone that's marketing, self-care strategies are subjective, making them unique to each person. That subjectivity requires the need for diversity. That diversity demands selection and personalization. And it requires continuous discovery as someone processes their self care practice. So, what does that mean in plain English? It's so much opportunity.
That's right. That
So
is
what
absolutely
self
right.
care is for Tamara might not be self care for Serena, might not be self care for Stacy, but it's still self care,
Yes,
and
it
there's
is.
still something that needs to be provided that people want. So this is really an interesting article. If you are listening in and you're able to share, what's your self care strategy? I'm curious to know what that is. And Tamara, what are you doing now, practicing self care post this COVID crisis that the world has faced?
Well, you know what? I really have picked up some things. So, not only from a health standpoint, I definitely found out I really need to get my health in check. As you get a little bit older, you get to be a little more cautious about things. You've been hearing all these stories about different people passing or just kind of like the silent killers that are sneaking up on people. So, I've really been focused on trying to get the health under control, whether it's eating, exercising. You all know I did my juice journey at one time. So, I'm really just focused on that, but then also just having that quiet space in my life. So, that's been the struggle for me. I'm one of those go, 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 go. I used to stay up all night. I still kind of stay up late on certain days, but I'm getting that more under control, really taking time just for myself to be quiet. Guess what, you all? I watch some television. Like I watch some series. Like, I don't really take the time out to do a lot of those things. So sometimes I'm sitting in my chair and I'm just relaxing and watching television, taking my mind off of, being an entrepreneur. Sometimes we think we gotta go, 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 go. And it becomes a habit. And that habit is hard to break because you're used to doing that. And when you're not doing that, you don't feel productive. Yeah, that's a whole other show. But I struggle with that. So just being able to not go, go, go and to be able to, slow down a bit. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But it made me think about, our handy dandy journal. One of our topics in here, which we have talked about before, but I just want to reiterate it because it's summer and people are focused on, people tend to think about vacation and relaxation in the
Right.
summer because that's the time. If you're working a traditional job or school is out, that's the time when you kind of do those kind of things. But we wrote about, taking that time to regroup, refuel, and rejuvenate. And some of the things we wrote about was, how important it really is to do that. So I just want to reiterate, we do cover some of that in our journal. Journal, journal, journal.
Journal, journal,
Things
get
you've
your
done, journal.
copy.
But it really does. It talks about, being grateful and taking the chance to breathe and take a time out. So I really think when it comes to my self-care, taking the time out has really become a very significant part of not only my day, but just my life in general, taking those moments to take a time out.
That is critical. And the same for me. Like, I think I've told my story here more than one time when I realized midway through the first couple of months of seeing what was happening with COVID, and I was feeling like Snuffleupagus walking up the stairs. I was like, what? Somebody pause, call the cop. Like, what is going on? I have got to get better and just really looking at how much devastation was surrounding us. And
Mhm.
it was underlying conditions that gave way. It was a quick wake up call to say, you can't play around with this. Stay on track.
You said it. That underlying condition, I think that caused me to pause. Absolutely. Because they started listing what those underlying conditions are. And it's just like, oh, wow. So I paid a lot more attention to that too. So that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's little changes that we do over a period of time, and we start seeing the results. I even the other day I was like, "Ooh, look at my collarbone, Jesus! Like I can see it, Lord!" Like
Look at my
just came
gut.
back. Yeah, but just feeling better. So not going after looking like Beyonce. I let that dream go. Like Beyonce got her body, she worked hard for it. So I'm gonna let her have that. But as far as mine, just making sure that I'm taking care of it so that I can be here to enjoy my family, enjoy all of the hard work that went into building a business, that I can be here for the fruits of the labor. I don't need for the future generations to enjoy more than I do. I got to enjoy some of my own stuff while I leave for them. Right. And taking that time, it's been so liberating to just pause, to go out for my walks. My time has increased, even doing a run. Now I'm getting back because my jump rope has been so lonely for a couple of months because I forgot to spend some quality time, but just getting back with those aerobics again. But I'm looking forward to it. I eat differently. So all of that helps my self care and my sanity. So
Yes.
it's important for us to just find a practice that's sustainable. And that was my prayer. I was like, you know how they say, have a little talk with Jesus? I had to have a little talk with Jesus. Like, we have to be consistent here. And I need to pray for the strength to stay because I can do it in every other area. But when it came to health, it would be this yo yo back and forth. And then I would say ridiculous things like, I'll just be fat and happy. That's a lie, right? You no, that's just negative. And we have to watch our words. And
Yeah,
when we make a commitment to ourselves, that self care is just honoring that we only get one temple, we only get one
absolutely.
body.
You
So we
know,
have to do our best.
just what you said, I had a conversation with one of my young people, and it's a delicate balance between those who are, I'm proud of the way I look, I'm proud of my body, I'm happy with myself, I'm bold, I'm beautiful. It's a balance between that, but also being healthy. So, my thing is don't get so caught up in the whole, I'm me and this is me and I'm bold and I'm big and I'm beautiful. Make sure you're healthy at the same time, whatever that looks like for you. So, I mean, I had that conversation with some young people. So, we don't want to, it's not about bashing any of that or not telling people not to be proud of their bodies or who they are. It's not body shaming, it's health shaming. Make sure you're healthy because no matter what your body look like, whether it look like Beyonce's or someone else's, if it's not healthy on the inside, it doesn't matter in the long run. So,
Absolutely, because you can be skinny and unhealthy,
that's right.
right?
Absolutely.
Because your gut health, just learning about all of that, it has nothing to do with your, well, there's nothing to do, not as much to do with your physical size as it does with what's happening on the inside.
Yeah.
So that's critical. And I'm glad you told those young people because they're going through a lot. I would not want to be growing up in this day and age. It's just too much. I'm like,
It's a
I
lot.
thought life was complicated when we were growing up. I'm like, now I don't even know how. I'm looking at my nieces. I'm looking at some of my godchildren. I'm like, Lord, be a fence because I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I have to share this because just thinking about our young people. So last week I had the pleasure of pouring into some young ladies. It was about 20 young ladies, ages 12 to 16. And so what I was talking about was your personal brand and just the importance of like your first impression. And it was so funny. So I had my college student, my daughter, participate with me. So I go into the presentation and I'm dressed like I dress for my presentation. I'm like, hi, I'm Tamara Hartley. I'm here to talk to you about this. And my daughter rushes in like, so I'm Tamara Hartley. I'm here to give you a presentation. And I'm like, I'm Tamara Hartley. She's like, no, I'm Tamara Hartley. So one of the things we did, I said, okay, let me ask you, who do you think is the real Tamara Hartley, me or her? And it was so funny because I had her dressed like, she had on like this halter top, some little booty shorts. She was just dressed, and they thought she was Tamara Hartley.
Oh,
Oh, it was so funny, but it was a lot. We learned a lot of lessons that day, but even their perception, how we are old school. So it's all about your presentation, how you present yourself to them. It wasn't all that, she was more believable to them because they thought she was like an influencer or like a brand. And they thought that's what she
wow.
was there to talk about. So it was just so funny. But those conversations were just so all over the place. It's nice to be able to pour into those young ladies who may have self-esteem issues and really talk to them about some of that stuff, but to listen at the same time. So I was able to listen.
That is so interesting that they thought that she was the real Tamara
Yes,
Hartley
they thought she
dressed
was.
that way.
And yeah, and then when we said, why do you think that, they had reasons why some people thought I was, because they said I was dressed professional, I was this. I did have on, of course, my branded Tamara Hartley shirt. So they said that. But when it came to her, it was like, well, she seemed a little more confident about it. The way she was dressed was like she was a fashion designer because that's their world. So it wasn't like I thought it was going to be.
Wow, that
So
is
that was
hilarious.
funny. It was.
I hope you taped it.
Yeah, no, actually we didn't. It was a part of a program that a soror of ours is actually doing in Columbus, and she asked me if I can come out and do it, and I did. But really, it was, and I should definitely like do this. I did it a long time ago, and I just didn't. But I got some things. I'm like, you know what, this could be something to help some other people along because I learned what people's
Absolutely.
perceptions and how that is such an important part of how we make decisions. So.
Absolutely. That I love that. And I do some of that work with the young people up here. So I think you gave me an idea. I might have to flip the script, but see, so many of them know me that won't work. I gotta come up with something
Well,
else.
it was one person in
Yeah.
there that knew both of us, so she had to kind of just like sit back, but no one else knew who we were. But someone did say, well, you all look alike. So that was
I
funny.
love
But
it.
when they found out she was like a college student, that there was one girl in there who wanted to be like a forensic scientist. So that's my daughter's major. So she was able to talk to her. They hooked up afterwards, so it was like a really good day.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that story. I'm glad you did. And perception is important. Acknowledging that, that's a whole show on that. So we pivoted a little bit from the self-care into the perception, because the self-care, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, also influences and impacts people's perception of you. So that is how we tie that one in. This was good today. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you're doing the replay, #replay, so that we know. And, we're always just bringing information, content, and resources, holding you accountable from moving past just dreaming, actually doing, so that you can celebrate getting it done. That's what our time together is about. And we put it inside our journal so that you could go ahead and purchase your copy, go on the journey with us, sign up for our masterclass opportunity where you can go a little bit deeper and get the information that you need. So, Tamara, over to you as we close out another Monday. I can't believe we're getting ready, because I'm starting to Faithpreneur Weekend is right here. It's like all this stuff going on, but we are here.
Well, I will tell you, I did some maintenance over the weekend just of the website, looking at our list as they're growing, our waiting list, and people are jumping on the waiting list. So we're happy about that. We have a lot of things coming up this summer, with Faithpreneur Weekend, which is an epic thing that's coming up. So after that, we will be looking to start some of those programs. So you need to make sure that you are on the wait list for the masterclass so that you can be included in that. So like I said, I've been seeing the numbers go up and up and up. So make sure you are, so that you don't get left out. We're happy that you are tuning in every Monday, but make sure you go to our website so you can do some things beyond Monday to make sure that you're getting it done in 2021.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next week. Same time, one-ish.
One-ish.